So just to remember you that this session is not, I'm not doing both English and French today. I'm just going to speak in English, but there's going to be live translation that you can reach via your phones and headphones in French. So I hope everything will be understandable and clear. So here we are. A very warm welcome. My name is Julia. I'm from Asitage, Germany, and also a member of the executive committee. And also I am a director and a dramaturg in Theatre for Young Audiences. And in the past 5 years, I have been doing my PhD in cultural science and aesthetic communications. And this is why I have the big pleasure and honor to not be here alone, but to be accompanied by the honorary president of Asitage International and my professor in the University of Hildesheim, Wolfgang Schneider. Good morning, guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen, liebe Julia. Morning, everybody. Yes, thank you for the invitation, but it was not a kind of invitation, so it was only this competition between us after 5 years. Please put your dissertation on my table, and then I will come with you to Marseille. The dissertation is on the table. And the defense, we call it in the Latin term disputation, will be in May. So it's a kind of rehearsal. So please play with us this situation. You are the students and the other professors from the faculty.
No pressure, no pressure.
We will think about this subject, and as Julia came to me to the University of Hildesheim, I have had a lot of students with strange ideas, but this was an idea we started from the sustainability of that, what theater could be, about all the changes in the world, which will be the future of this generation, which is sitting around of us when you are making theater for children. First of all, thank you for the organization to have this wonderful artistic gathering here in Marseille. And we come later to the special relationship between Hildesheim and Marseille, because there is a German-French PhD program since over 20 years now, and Julia is one of the students, but there are others together with the Université Aix-Marseille. Yes. I have to tell that Julia came from the University of Münster and the University of Avignon, but finally we will finish the first step of your academic career in Hildesheim. So it's up to her to present an introduction to that. I will ask some question what the role of a professor should be, and then we have two special guests from the field in the arts, in theater arts for children and young people, and that's the program.
Fantastic, thank you so much. So we will have two very special guests later. This is why these chairs are here. So it's not only going to be us, don't worry. And listening to Wolfgang, I remembered actually that when I came up with the idea to do my PhD, and I had read a book by an expert in transformation design on ecological sustainability, and I was very much into this idea that theater could contribute to telling other stories about the future. Was like his stand. And I was so excited and I wanted to do my PhD about it. And so I talked to Wolfgang about sustainability. And the first thing he would say to me was, okay, sustainability, but please don't write about waste separation in theaters. So I didn't do, but I could still prove to him that it is an important topic and that it is very much related also to waste separation in theater. But then I finally decided to take another angle and really focus on our artistic approaches, because this is then, I felt, the unique point that we as artists in TYA and performing arts for young audiences can do. So this is what this little introduction is going to be about, and I hope I won't be too long because I get lost, but then you can always interrupt me and I will move on. This was the title of the magazine for theater for young audiences that is published by Asitesh Germany. And so it was a good start for me to prove to Wolfgang actually that it is an important topic to talk about these things, because they would pick up this line, young theater for future. And it was in this moment, it was in fall 2019, when Fridays for Future were everywhere. They were everywhere in the world. They were so well known. And it then finally was not only young people going out in the street and insisting that there should be an acknowledgement of the climate warming, the global climate warming that we are all affected by, but it was also slowly dribbling into the minds of theater makers and politicians and the mainstream in society. So this is just an example. Hello, can I help you? Okay. Sorry, I was not. So this is, and this is just an image to show you that actually this is a topic, and this is an important topic to consider when we are talking about theater for, with, and by young audiences. And so when I started my PhD, then I was looking for the right angle or the right approach. And as I could feel from Wolfgang's reaction, sustainability might not have been the best topic or the best title for it. And so I read a lot and I looked into a lot of things, and then I finally found the term Anthropocene. And this Anthropocene is a big word, and so before I start just talking about the Anthropocene, I would like to maybe share what actually might be an understanding that we can all have what actually Anthropocene can be. And so I would like to introduce the two major concepts of the Anthropocene, because the word actually arose from the national science. It was a chemist called Paul Crutzen and a biologist called Eugene Stormer who actually published an essay on the Anthropocene in 2000. And this term became very popular very quickly. And their point was that they said the fundamental changements in our planet, atmosphere, climate, water, soil, stones, anything, they are so big that they will be measured in a long time ahead. So you will be able to actually see the footprints of this time even in 1,000 million years. And the most important point about this is that for the very first time ever, this footprint and these changes were caused by one species on this planet, and these are the humans. And I need to say it's not all humans, but it's part of humanity and part of the humans that are causing these changes. And therefore, they decided to propose this term Anthropocene, the age of humans. So this would be like the where this term actually comes from, but as I already said, it became very popular very quickly. Even the media loved it and would title "Welcome to the Anthropocene." So it became a popular concept also to talk about in human and environmental and cultural studies. But here it was rather a cultural concept that helps you to reflect on what actually this break this huge disruptor of nature and culture means, and actually that our concept, our Western modern concept here, that we have this separation between human culture and the rest, which is called nature, that this concept actually cannot longer stand, because by our changes we inscribe, we write ourselves in everything, in the atmosphere, in the stone, and so the humans and the nature become linked in a new way. And at the same time, by the catastrophes and the challenges that we are facing right now, we can no longer pretend that we are above, or that it's actually legitimate for us to use the world as a source and we are the dominant species here. So these are the two concepts. Yes, and now it doesn't move. And what I would like to do now is just I have questions. So the questions that I would like to look into with some examples is actually, how do the performing arts address the new conditions and events and challenges that we are facing in the Anthropocene? So how would all of this affect how we tell stories? And so how are content, aesthetics, representation, and agency affected in change in performances that deal with the Anthropocene? And I'm not going to answer this because I can't, but I did research in the past 5 years, mainly in Germany, and found many performances and projects that worked on these topics. And so I would just like to share some examples of this to give you an idea how diverse this occupation with this topic can actually be. So this is a picture of a production called Post Paradise, and it is very interesting both in its content, because here you can see how challenging actually this concept of Anthropocene is, because it affects so many levels. It is not like this is the cause and this is the result, but there are so many ways to explain and to think and to talk about the Anthropocene. So what this production did is they would build they called it an anthology, like a collection of 10 different approaches towards the Anthropocene. And they would do both awareness raising and tried to explain some of the phenomena that we are dealing with, like climate warming, what is it? But also they would tell beautiful stories about future worlds. And here you can see in this picture, they use a special new technique, which is called live animation cinema. So you have 2 levels of the show. You have a cinema screen, and you can see these worlds, these overwhelming worlds that they are creating of future situation, of future places. And on stage, you have the performers that actually create these worlds by putting the illustrations on an overhead projector and moving the characters around, and also giving their voices and acting a little bit out the situations and the stories. So in every performance you would have like 2 levels going on. You have the visual level, and then you have lots of sounds and the acting and the level, the live making and manufacturing on stage. Another approach, that I found quite often, which I thought is interesting, is that this notion of crisis, the crisis of the Anthropocene, is actually, it translates as a crisis between generations. So many performances in performing arts for young audiences work with young people on stage and in the development to actually give a platform to their fears, to their anger, to their need to express what is going on and how they are afraid to lose a possibility of a future. And so it was very interesting to see how this link between crisis of Anthropocene and crisis of generations is played out. And in shows that are done by adults for young audiences, you often would find this picture of younger generations being the hope that is going to save the planet. And in those that actually were created with and by young audiences, you would feel rather a reject of this and this will of saying, you cannot expect us to solve your problems when you never let us decide anything that regards our future. And this was a notion that I found was very strong and very important, and so I would like it to be considered. Then now I'm switching in a different way that I found that was very interesting, and that was actually leaving the human-centered questions or topics and stories. So many of the shows and performances thought about ways how we could connect to the planet and everything that exists in a new manner, not putting us as humans in the center of everything, but really thinking about how are we in touch, how is our relation to everything that surrounds us, other than that we regard it as an object, a resource, or something that we need to protect because otherwise we will extinct, but just really for its own purpose and for its being. And there I found really beautiful and inspiring performances in different areas. Like this is a music production with musicians on stage and performers. And they would work with field recordings of animals, and they would create music with these field recordings. So the show would actually be a dialogue and a concert between human-factured sounds and voices and the voices of animals. And it really went to the question like, where does music come from? Is it not actually a concept that was created by nature, that was inspired by birds singing and all of this, and how can we actually relate to animals in a new way, regarding them not only as like pets or something we want to eat, but something that actually creates art and actually is here and affects us and speaks to us in many ways, even if we do not understand them like on this level. I'm finished. This is the last thing I would like to talk, and you can take it even further, because you can ask this question of how to decentralize the human on stage and not tell only human stories. You can find aesthetics that do this very, very radically. So this on the left with the plants is a production called Theater of the Long Now in Stuttgart, which will last for 100 years. And it is basically taking place on this open gardening space, and the protagonists are described to be the plants and everything that lives on this area. And there will be from time to time interventions, but it's always in this question of what is our relation when we cut a plant, or when we do something in this area, what does this mean? What kind of relation do we express by this? And so it's very interesting to put other protagonists, like plants, on stage. And then the last thing, which is taken from a production that was done here in Théâtre Massalia, is actually rethinking our relation to objects, like to things that actually don't live but still might take part in our actions. And there is a famous theory called the actor network theory, saying actually when I'm using this microphone becomes an actor, and I'm not only using it, but this microphone changes my way of being, because it changed my voice, it changed the way how I'm here. So it's actually thinking about how actually objects and everything that surrounds us has an effect on us and makes us act. So it's not only us acting, but it's always a huge network of things that we do not even understand, and it goes to atoms and molecules and everything. And I found that very interesting, and shows that would put objects in the middle of their stories to tell was very intriguing, and we will hear about it in some minutes from Emily. So these are the questions that we might discuss then together later. And what I was speaking to, so what are the changes and challenges for performing arts when they want to address new forms of representation and agency that become very necessary in the Anthropocene? And how can a review of the relations between humans and non-humans also open new perspectives and possibilities for the relation between younger and older generations? So how can we connect these questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Julia. If you see that the subject, the thematic framework of that, what we were discussing over the last 5 years is very complex. It's so complex that we cannot tell you one performance which shows what our research was about. What Julia did was to separate and identify some examples, to bring together maybe a horizon of that, what it could be. First of all, and this was a very hard conversation we had in the first year, what the matter should it be if you are creating performing arts, if you are focusing to the jeune public, to the children and young people in that way. We have in most of our countries, especially between France and Germany, a tradition in theater for children and young people which is based on the old idea of enlightenment. The idea that theater is relevant, is something relevant at the same time as it is an aesthetic construction. Though the question was, or one of the answers of our question was, if this is a relevant subject, it should be on stage. It should be early years in your experience with theater on stage. And there were some in the 70s, 80s, after the protest students' movement with new companies in our countries, especially, maybe you know, the Crips Theater. There was one of the first performances by Volker Ludwig, Dicke Luft, Thick Air, which was very classical in that way of a pedagogical learning by looking shows and performances. But my question for Julia's research were, first of all, very general. The question about the social impact. What does it mean to bring this on stage in a way that you are thinking we have a story, we have a narrative, we have characters, we have a story to tell, and what does it mean in the framework? Second, what is the political dimension? Is it like you told us about Fridays for Future, that after the show we go to the motorway and put us in front of the cars and making protest on this way? Or is it maybe much more in that moment that it's not only an action, it's an understanding, it's a knowledge finding? And last but not least, the most important question was the artistic consequences. What does it mean if you have new images? What does it mean that you are creating something in a way to reflect something? And for me, as one of the older participants, especially in Architect, I always be afraid about instrumentalizing theater for some subjects and themes, because children are clever enough to see when they see a show which is made by the curriculum of the schools or something else. So the question is through the subject of the whole thematic idea of Anthropocene, is this bringing us also new narratives, bringing us new stories? Is it a kind of platform where we have an intervention to an intergenerational dialogue? Is it something which, of course, is doing in this way for an agenda setting, that we say this is now important for the next 25 years, and we are not discussing today about the political movements in all of our countries and so on. You know what we have to discuss, but not in that way as we do it with this research. So the last idea is how is the development of these first practical interventions you took over for as an example or as examples for your research. And this is why we ask two people from the practical field, but they are also well reflected, of course, and artistic directors in different ways, and you will invite them.
Yes. Wow, there was a lot of questions, and I'm so grateful that you actually already gave me like the hint that I can bring more people on stage to answer them, because I was, ooh. And so here we go. I would love our president from Australia, Sue Giles, to come here and join us on stage.
Can I bring a friend?
Yeah, you can bring two friends, but bring yours first. So here's the one friend.
I've got a new friend.
Okay.
I might get a chair for my friend.
Oh,
you can put it here.
you can put it on. Will it also? No, it needs.
I want my friend to be on an equal basis with the rest.
We totally get that. Is it okay if I introduce Emily at the same time? Okay, perfect. So because our other friend that comes here is Emily Robert from Theatre Massalia, who is also on the executive committee and who, as I mentioned before, was involved in this show Provivence Lab. And so we have two experts in this approach that is not human-centric, that is actually asking for new ways of relating to other existences. And I'm very happy that you are here. Thank you so much. So I guess you remember all the 4 questions. You can just choose one and start.
Oh my God.
No, yes.
You will start with Sue?
Thank you. I will start because I brought my friend over here from the Teatro Massalia. We're new acquaintances. But to just illustrate the approach that we took during a work called When the World Turns, which was a collaboration between my company that I used to run, Polyglot Theatre, and Oily Cart Theatre in the UK, which was a work made with and for disabled young people. We had the joy of working with Tanya Baer, who is an eco-sonographer. So as an eco-sonographer, she takes into consideration the entire production cycle, This is a very sustainable work which travels with almost no set. It's a transference of a concept rather than a tour, but I'm not going to go into that. What I'd like to talk about is the relationship that Tanya set up with us about working with living plants. The set was thousands and thousands of living plants. We had 11,000 in our first premiere season that were loaned to us from an environmental company that plants out big freeways, etc. All native plants to Australia. And she took us through the process of collaborating with the plants rather than using them as a set item. So the learning through this project was intense. And it really comes down to this idea of the relationship between the human and the non-human and the interconnectedness of everything, that we had to learn how to respect the plants as a fellow collaborator in the process, to learn how to listen to what they need, to make sure they're happy, to care for them, to make sure they're included, and theatre is hard on lots of us in the making, and we didn't want it to be the death of our plants. Theatre is in the dark quite often, so we didn't want the plants to suffer by being in the dark for a week. So that relationship took place over workshops and just intense attention to the plant and also to what they bring to a space, which was an increase of oxygen, a real sense of the audience comes into the space and everyone takes a deep breath and slows down and opens up. And during the whole performance then we really tried to unhinge the idea of human-centric behaviour. So all of it, and especially because we were working with sensory beings. So our audience and participants were sensory beings, so we were able as the performers and the adults around the young people were able to have a different personal connection to all the elements that were brought, the living plants, the rocks, the stones, the bones, the cones, and through touch and seeing how these young people engaged and communicated through their senses with the design and the set, everybody let go of their desire to control and to be dominant in the space. It was quite a remarkable demonstration of how personal connection to the environment and engenders a different sort of respect and relationship.
Thank you.
Hello?
Sue, when you came in with the green flower, I remembered two stories I was watching in the TV in Germany. First war, when the Green Party was for the first time elected in the German parliament. They put on every desk in the parliament, which was not allowed to bring them, but they did it, such green flowers, put it on the desk as a demonstration. And the background was Joseph Beuys at the Documenta some years before. He planned with a big action program 7,000 trees? 7,000 trees. What kind of trees? Oaks. Yeah. This is really an action in the arts to, as you said, to respect to these beings, not human beings, but beings in a way we are living together. Emily, you were also working a lot in different connection and relations to the subject. Maybe you can tell us your story about this.
Actually, my story will mainly be an artist story. But first, I must say that, yes, as a person, as director, I feel very concerned by these questions you raised in your PhD, and I share most of the things you talked about. And so I was always, in a way, looking for some artistic work that would allow us to open our imaginary to, you know, to new steps. Because in a way, I always feel that the kids know a lot about the planet and waste separation to blah, blah, blah. But when will we be able to offer them new plans for the future? And at the moment, I met this artist, Michael Cros, who actually built some of the magic elements you can see in this place too. He made some scenography for the cartonnerie. And Michael is a puppeter, but he always worked with more than just puppetry. He's a lot with dance, a lot with theater and drama, and so he, for a long time, wanted to work on these questions. What plans do we have to share with the kids for the future? And at some moment, he built these productions. This production you showed some picture of, Provivence Lab, and the idea was to open our mind to a future where maybe plants, animals, but also stones, and maybe more, and humans, would be mixed, but more than mixed, would give birth to hybrid beings. So he really started to write a story about this, but at some point he came to me and said, actually, I don't want to build this story alone. I want to share it with kids because I think I can learn a lot by sharing it with them, but also I can try to open their mind to a new future. So I don't remember how many, but he went in different classes in Marseille, and not only in Marseille, in Avignon and different cities. And he would ask the kids to bring different materials, could be waste, because it was mostly materials that the kids didn't want to use for anything anymore because they would be part of a production, so they would probably not be given back to them. And I remember there were shoes, like, you know, old shoes and plants and very different materials. And they started to first build these strange beings mixing, stones, maybe a can, maybe a shoe, and they became characters for a story. And then he could work on a story. But they first built this together, and it was really, I think there were like 2 or 3 children sharing one character, and it took like days to work together on these, and because they would, of course, at the beginning they would do very simple things, and he was always asking them to go further. Okay, what could we do? Because how would future look like if a part of my body would be made of a plant, or of a stone, or of something like this? And after that, he started to really build this story, and this became a performance later on, after some residencies here and elsewhere. And I think the interesting thing is that he really built this production out of the children's imagination, out of many materials that he even didn't expect, actually. And he would never knew, what this would like, actually. So he made different formats, and some of the short ones can be recreated in a different city with new characters, new beings, being made, new hybrids. So I think it's important because somehow it would open our minds to what do we think Earth will look like in some times, and maybe this will be difficult times, but maybe we can also be different and find a different way to live here in this planet, on this planet, and in a common space with plants and stones. And yes, I think it was very the kids were very enthusiastic, and they really learned a lot there, but we also did, because we really shared this, and after that the performance was made in different spaces, and you could go from one to another, so it was really, you had time to experience in a very sensitive way.
Thanks. When I was reading the dissertation, but the report is not written now, it's after this meeting, but I was impressed what is very close to that, what you said, that Julia is coming to the idea that this will be a new chapter in the history of humanity. It could be, but she made the observation, and this kind of new narratives can imagine new relations between those in power and those unseen, the friend on the left, and more. And the question for me is for both of you. You were artistic director of the festival, and with your colleagues you were looking to the performances. Was this subject one of your criteria, or is it how could we find something in your festival at the moment? And when you are looking around, going to the world of Architect, did you observe also some of these new narratives as a new chapter? It's a big word, but maybe we can use it, because for us, I think this was clear through the first statements. For us, it is a must to be respectful and to open for this subject we are discussing here. Emily, what performance or what? How you find something which is in this direction we are looking for?
I don't know if I really found one in exactly this direction, because it always depends on the artist project, and I always feel like I cannot tell an artist what he or she should create about. And of course, I was more, maybe, I paid attention more to how sustainable the production could be and how we could organize this in a sustainable way. But in a way, art's open mind anyway. I mean, that happens all the time. So, for example, we could not bring these productions because now it doesn't tour anymore, and we could have brought another one, but we failed to for different reasons. And I'm more concerned about the idea that in the future, I think that's why it's very good to have this moment together, because I miss, actually, I think, new aesthetics coming from sustainability concerns, and as actually I miss also, it's a different thing, but I sometimes miss, productions more from digital arts. And of course, you can think these two things are opposite, but to me they are not. And it's always about, because we can have very low-tech projections, and in adult theater we have a lot. In France, in children's theater, we don't have so many. And again, to me, it's more about trying to think the future together and open our minds to different images for the future. And I would like to have more, but I'm not an artist, so I cannot, say to any artist, you should do this. I'm just expecting them to appear.
Good, thank you.
It's interesting though too, because you do run a theatre, you have your principles also guide what you bring in. So, that does have an effect.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And certainly in terms of the global approach to this, there's such diversity of work out there that goes to subject matter and content, to ways of working, and there's examples in this room that people have already. Andy, I'm referring to your work as well, but so there's a lot of different ways that this whole subject can be tackled through theatre. But I guess, we're lucky in we're lucky in Australia, but we do have an incredibly strong Indigenous culture that has a relationship to country and being that is extraordinary and underpins and is starting to really affect and impact the work that's made in this subject area, because the entire principles of Indigenous culture is about the relationship with country, with land, with song, with art, with culture, with sky, with earth, with animals and living beings, and that interconnectedness is a central part of culture. So that makes it really an interesting space for this whole work to I guess, kind of get that relational aspect to it, but also that the aesthetic challenge and the interest in sustainability is really great. It's like working with any new form. It explodes your idea of what theatre can be, but we need to sort of grasp the strength of that rather than going, it's too awkward, or, people have run away from sustainability because they don't think it's attractive, whereas actually it's incredibly interesting.
Thank you, Sue. I just realized we are already running late. I'm very sorry. No, it's me. It's all on me. But I'm very sorry for being late. And are we not running late? No, I don't think so. No? What is...
Kelly?
10:15? No. No, we're not. Oh, we're not. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I was so worried about being too long and holding people because of yesterday, so I got too stressed. Oh, that's great then. So I'm happy to refer to what you said. Then awesome. Because
we go on. The doors are closed, so there is no problem to.
Okay, excuse me. So, but to what you said in this, because the question is what is in this festival, and although it's maybe not like in the topic of it or in the show directly, just from meeting people in different occasions, be it the artistic encounters, be it the National Centers meeting yesterday, there was a lot of exchange. People showed their pictures of productions they are doing in the Philippines, they are doing in Burkina Faso, and they were all dealing with this topic. So I think we cannot underestimate the knowledge and the potential that is there, and that our colleagues all over the world are already addressing this topic. And I think what is our task in many ways, and this may be a political question, is actually to find new ways of fundings to get this knowledge and this potential connected. And the processes you were talking about, and most of the productions I have been looking into that choose those new ways of telling a story, they cannot be made in 6 weeks. It's impossible. Like the time that you would need to actually find the experts, both the young experts and experts from other fields, and then find a way how to bring things that you normally don't find in a production. So I think there's a lot of things that we can advocate for in terms of how we can actually. Yesterday, a woman was saying that she was being frustrated because sustainability is more and more asked to get funding, but there is no funding for sustainability. So there are lots of things that actually, when we really want to tackle this topic, we actually need also new ways of funding these ways of working, because they are different. If you want more equality and you want more equity and more distribution of power in making decisions in these artistic processes, you need a lot of more time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired this morning, words are missing sometimes. But it was exactly my point, the comparison with digital arts form, that for both, you need time, you need more time, and we know that we don't have enough money and grants for productions in TYA especially. So that's why, in a way, because if you want to build new aesthetics, then you need a lot of time for research on stage, or just, thinking, or maybe traveling to meet, people from different countries doing this in a different way. And so I think that's really a concern today with the aesthetics for this new performance, these new projections. We need to talk about the future, that artists need time for that. And we don't have enough now money or grants, even in France. I mean, because we all know that France has a very strong cultural system, but today, not from sometimes now, but some months especially, we are facing very hard cut in the budget from different political levels, and that's one thing that will be more and more difficult, is to find really the time for the artists so they can have long residencies when they need, and long time for production. So yeah, I think it's a very good point.
Can I just add one more thing? From Acetasia's perspective, every newsletter we have an article or a case study about sustainability in there. It would be we're trying to get a kind of a library of case studies of the work that people are doing, because we know that there's an enormous amount of practice out in the field, but we often don't hear about it. So it's a really great opportunity for people who have methodologies, ways of creating, or works, or productions, or principles or approaches within their companies, to be able to send that to us so that we can actually share that with the rest of the sector. That would be really great.
Maybe, no, Julia, this is better. I will do it. Yesterday there was the launch of Voices of a New World from ITAN, the conference documentation from the World Congress in Cuba, and there is Julia with an article which is a special part of this discussion. The title is "Racing Cars, Robots and Repairs, the Narrative and Aesthetic Value of Recycled Materials on Stage." And it's not about sustainability in a way as we did it sometimes, and which is now also part in the hotel that I was asked, are you interested that there is someone coming in the morning to clean your room or not, which was 5 years ago not really the question you have to answer for. What was my answer? Yes, I say yes for once for 4 days. So this was my part. But what I would like to say is that the question about Anthropocene is not to find a way to bring everything of this context in on stage. It's the idea how we ask questions as people in the field of the performing arts for young audiences. In a way, we find our artistic development, and sometimes it's, I have the feeling that again and again, theater for TYA should give answers. There is especially expected by one big part of the audience, by the schools and the teachers, that they are very much interested because that's their job in the curriculum. At least there should be something where you can find that everyone was understanding this. But maybe it's also with this idea of Anthropocene to come back to a theater which is not understandable, that you produce something which only asks questions, not to have an answer in mind, but a direction of what is, how is it touching me as an audience? Maybe a last round, and
Just,
then
transformation, emotional transformation, and atmospheric and sensory transformation is incredibly powerful in this field, I feel, and that's that real difference between the kind of cerebral narrative, kind of story-based work, then to actually kind of get down into the guts of something and be moved by something you weren't expected to be moved by. That's a memorable occasion, I think, and that's a turning point for many people.
Yeah, totally. This is a different way of awareness rising that is actually not only talking to your minds, but it's really getting you affected emotionally, and this is what we can share when we are in a live theater situation. And as we are in a live theater situation, I would love to maybe open for one last round of questions from all of you. If you have some comments or questions, I will come around with the microphone. Do you want me to help? Yes, fine. You have a question, right? Hi.
I was curious what all of you think about the theater as a physical space. Yeah, because I think it's very anthropocentric space, and also not super sustainable, so maybe we should leave it a little bit more often.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
We first collect? Okay, but should not forget them. So what's the next question then? I will go here first.
Bonjour, pardon, je vais poser ma question en français, si vous pouvez la traduire. C'était plus pour témoigner de ce mouvement sur l'Anthropocène, des modifications ou des recherches qui pouvaient se passer aussi dans l'écriture, au niveau en tout cas en France, et du coup avec deux très belles tentatives que je connais moi d'une autrice qui s'appelle Gwendoline Soublin et d'une autre autrice qui s'appelle Julie Aminte, qui ont cherché à transformer le langage, parce que aussi pour se décentrer il faut écrire peut-être d'un autre point de vue et autrement. Et du coup je trouve que c'est des questions aussi passionnantes qui amènent les questions de représentation dans le spectacle. Et je voulais savoir si dans d'autres pays, il y avait d'autres tentatives autour de la langue pour chercher comment on parle musaraigne, paysage, arbre, enfin voilà.
Thank you. Yeah, but we need a translation first.
Yeah.
Can we have the translation of these questions first? Because
Yeah, thank you, because I could have talked about these two. Our colleague was talking about two playwrights in France, that do try, but succeeds actually, to write in a different way, to really open to another way of writing from the nature point of view, I would say. And their names are Julien Minte and Gwendoline Soublin, and we both actually worked with them on these projects, so I could have told you a little bit about them. And she was saying that it was interesting because to her it's really a way to write differently, to try, to experiment new playwriting from this point of view. So our questions you will be able to answer afterwards is there any kind of this experimentation out in different countries? But please.
I would love to answer this question because, yes, you're absolutely right. The buildings around us hold us back, I feel. So this work that we made did have a premiere season at a kind of high-profile event, which was very important both for the approach, the sustainable approach, but also the disabled audience in terms of political space. But it also then, we know that didn't mean great access, so we made another version that went into schools. Oily Cart, meanwhile, did the schools version first and then made another version that went into homes. The work is meant to be transferable and mutable, so that the concept and the collaboration between us all is agreed upon, but the form that it takes needs to be responsive to local energy and local plants, local landscape, and also local materials. So it's very exciting for me because it's still morphing, it's still changing, and so it could go into any sort of shape and any sort of community, which also means that whole that whole access thing is really dealt with in an active way, and I think you're absolutely right. Burn the theatres down.
Hello, I have two very quick questions. One for you, Wolfgang. How does it feel to sit beside a non-verbal organic element in a space that's very cold and non-green? Because although it's there, nobody has actually interacted with the plant so far, other than at the beginning, the water. But how does it feel? Because I think that's the change that needs to come. We can't just put it there and have it as part of the set if we really respect it. I would like to know how you feel because you sit beside it. And Sue, what happened to the 11,000 plants after?
Well, just quickly on that, they were loaned to us by a plant, by a nursery, big nursery, and then they took them back. And that happens through the school tours as well. They prepare the plants that thrive in a dark space over a period of time, and then those plants come with us on tour, and then those plants go back and back to the nursery.
No. It's a rhetoric question, but but I will answer with an example. When I was for one day took over to Australia and Singapore, I had the wonderful pleasure of visiting the botanical garden, and there was a guided tour, and this guy was always talking with the plants. He was always talking with the trees. He was always talking with the monkeys in the trees. In that way, of course, it was a little bit funny, but it was with the background of his knowledge. It was about why he knows about the situation of the plants in that moment, which means there were sticky air, and there was always every an hour a kind of organized raining, because it was the rainforest plants or something like that. So impressive for me, and this is maybe one of the keys how we can work with that, or you as artists could work about that, is the question to know more about these landscape. When we call, we have to know a lot about children. We have to learn about their physical and development and everything with the brain research to know. There is on the other side something which I think we should also put on our agenda and to take part in a way. Not to do it one-to-one in that way. It's not the question of greenwashing TYA. It's a question learning about the whole world, and human beings are only one part of them.
And accepting a different forms of communication, isn't it? Like it's a really different way of listening and it's a different way of being, yeah.
We have time for 3 more statements, questions.
But we did not really answer, not really at all answer the question about new forms of, because she was referring to literature and how new styles of writing would occur, and if there was somebody who has an example for this, if there's an equivalence or something in performances that is arising in this way of telling or like finding new forms of. So I think we have to think about it more, maybe. Yeah.
Hello, je parle en français. Donc voilà, je fais partie de ces artistes sans doute nombreux qui s'emparent de ces questions de l'anthropologie dans notre travail du rapport à la nature. Là, du coup, c'est sur cette question des formes. Nous, on travaille beaucoup avec le mouvement dansé et comment, dans les corps, on peut se nourrir de la pensée, des nouvelles pensées. Je pense notamment à la collection Monde Sauvage de Axe Sud, qui est d'une grande richesse, et du travail de Baptiste Morisot, notamment sur le livre Manière d'être vivant. Voilà. Et du coup, comment, en fait, dans le processus d'écriture, je vais choisir des extraits de ces livres, les lire, et on improvise la musique et la danse à partir de l'écoute de ces textes. Et c'est vrai que la danse a un grand pouvoir, je trouve, pour justement se transformer, s'hybrider et incarner cette pensée. Parce que c'est ça, en fait, c'est comment on se laisse transformer dans nos corps profondément. Et c'est vraiment la question de l'hybridation. C'est pas juste une question de pensée, c'est décalé, mais c'est aller vraiment profondément. Et je pense que le fait de proposer ça à des enfants qui eux-mêmes ont un autre rapport que nous à leur corps est beaucoup plus sensoriel. Ils sont comme un vecteur de transformation. En fait, ils nous permettent, je travaille beaucoup avec les tout petits, les très jeunes enfants, les bébés, les moins de 6 ans. Et voilà, ils ont un autre rapport que nous qui est peut-être plus près justement du petit animal. Voilà, donc du coup, je pense que de se mettre en contact et dans les processus d'écriture, du coup, être beaucoup au contact des enfants. Et du coup, par rapport à la question du financement, de la création et du temps long, c'est vrai qu'on en parle beaucoup et je pense aux projets de territoire sur le temps long qui nous permettent le temps de la recherche, en fait. Il faut que ces temps longs d'immersion auprès des publics nous permettent le temps de la recherche et voilà, et par effet, et nous nourrissent. Voilà.
Merci beaucoup. So I can try to summarize, or you can better.
Maybe you can try, but so summarize is first you were talking about the book from Baptiste Morisot, who is a French socialist. He writes a lot about our relations to nature, animals and stuff, and different ways to create. One was to listen to his words, and as Florence works in choreography, it was like how the words would, create something in their bodies and make new gestures appear. So that was one way to be connected to this deep thinking about our relation to nature. Then she was saying that maybe actually dance and choreography are good media to open our bodies and not only our minds to the relation to nature. And also children, and especially very young children, as you mostly work with them, and that, yes, all this, she underlines, needs time to be done. So it's true that for this kind of productions, we need more times and so more grants.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Muito.
Maybe one last, but very short.
Short. Muito bom dia, nós somos do Brasil.
Good morning, we're from Brazil. I'm going to translate his question.
Apenas uma consideração sobre um conteúdo que é do aspecto econômico.
It's just a consideration about an economic aspect.
No Brasil, nós temos muita terra, muita gente, muito espaço e muita destruição da natureza.
In Brazil, we have a lot of land and forests and also a big destruction of nature.
Mas as pessoas gostam muito da natureza no Brasil. Elas gostam do verde, elas gostam da terra, elas gostam do mar.
But people enjoy nature very much in Brazil.
Mas a destruição está sendo feita em troca de dinheiro.
But destruction is being made in change for money.
Então, pensamos que um conteúdo importante é essa reflexão. A livre iniciativa de ganhar dinheiro, ela não pode ser tão livre assim.
His reflection is on how a free initiative on making money cannot be so free because it's been destroying all the environment.
É isso. Isso é uma questão da realidade brasileira. Temos presenciado.
And this is this is our reality. And I'd like to add that in Brazil, and this is very important to add to your contest, we have many indigenous people in Brazil and that are very active and nowadays very militant and active in pro of their culture and everything. And we have many Brazilian indigenous artists as well, bringing this theme and production, performance arts and visual arts. And I think that it's very important for us, white people and European people, to listen to them, to listen to their vision on how we can be integrated with the nature and with the environment, because they are the real keepers for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful closing words from Brazil. Thank you so much, which is very important. Our whole solidarity around the world is going on also with this subject. Thank you so much. We have only 75 minutes, but this was only a kind of introduction, some words about the observation in the research coming from Julia, and I'm sure that next year and for the World Congress in Korea, we will have the English version or the summary of the results, and we come together maybe with new experiences from the artistic field in theater for young people. I have to thank the plants left to me and the ladies right to me. Thank you so much. And Julia, last word.
Thank you so much. My last words is actually, if you would like to talk more about this, today at 2 we have the Green Team meeting, which is actually about all these topics, how Architecture International can build stronger into this community of people that are interested in ecological ways of performance making. So I would love to see you all at 2 again, and then we can take on the conversation. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup et à tout à l'heure.